It's the ultimate symbol of love. The one object that says, I'm committed to you forever. We're told that it's rare. We're told that it's precious. We're told that a man should spend 2 months of his salary to buy one. But what if I told you that everything you just saw was a lie? What if I told you that diamonds are actually one of the most common gemstones on Earth? What if I told you that the 2-month salary rule was invented by an ad agency in New York to boost quarterly profits? For the last 80 years, we haven't been buying a precious gem. We've been buying the marketing campaign. Today, we are going to expose the Beers Cartel. I'm going to show you how one company ruthlessly monopolized the world's supply, how they brainwashed high school students to ensure future sales, and why the ring on your finger is likely worth less than the setting it sitting in. To understand the scam, we have to go back to 1870. Before then, diamonds were actually rare. They were found in a few riverbeds in India and jungles in Brazil. Only kings and queens wore them. But then they found the mother lode in South Africa, literally tons of diamonds. Suddenly, the market was flooded. Now, basic economics tells us, when supply goes up, price goes down. The financiers of the mines panicked. If diamonds became common, they would become cheap. They would just be shiny pebbles. Enter Cecil Rhodes. He realized the only way to save the investment was to stop the competition. He didn't build a business. He built an empire. He bought up every single mine. By 1888, his company, De Beers Consolidated Mines, controlled 90% of the world's diamond supply. This is where the scam begins. De Beers created artificial scarcity. They had vaults full of diamonds, but they only released a tiny amount each year, just enough to meet demand, but not enough to lower the price. They weren't selling a rare item. They were selling a common item rarely. Fast forward to 1938, the Great Depression hit. Nobody was buying useless rocks. Diamond prices collapsed. De Beers needed to brainwash a new generation. They hired the ad agency NWA. The agency's internal memo literally said, "We are dealing with a problem in mass psychology." In 1947, a copywriter named Francis Jarity wrote the 4 most profitable words in history. A diamond is forever. It was a psychological trap. If a diamond is forever, you can never sell it. If you never sell it, you never realize that it has no resale value. It stays off the market, which keeps the supply low. They didn't stop at ads. They went to Hollywood. De Beers gave massive diamonds to actresses to wear on the red carpet. They successfully lobbied to have diamonds inserted into movie scripts. They engineered culture. But the creepiest part? They went into high schools. NWA sent lecturers to high schools across America to speak to teenage girls. The topic? The importance of the engagement ring. They were grooming customers before they even had boyfriends. They created the dream of the ring so that by the time these girls were 20, they would demand a diamond from their fiancés. Then they needed to decide how much money to take from you. In the 1930s, the ad said, "Spend 1 month's salary." In the 1980s, looking for a sales boost, they changed the ads, 2 months' salary. In Japan, they pushed for 3 months. This wasn't etiquette. It was a price anchor set by the seller to guilt-trip the buyer. Here's my favorite story. In the 1960s, De Beers made a deal with the Soviet Union to buy all their diamonds. But the Soviet diamonds were tiny, under 1/4 of a carat. They couldn't be used for engagement rings. De Beers had millions of tiny rocks they couldn't sell. Did they throw them away? No, they invented the eternity ring, a band of small diamonds given to your wife after marriage. The marketing slogan? She married you for richer or poorer. Let her know how it's going. They literally shamed men into buying their unwanted Soviet inventory to prove they weren't poor. Genius? Yes. Evil? Also yes. How did they keep this monopoly for so long? By operating like a mafia, De Beers sold their diamonds at events called sites, held 10 times a year in London. Only 125 carefully selected people, the site holders, were allowed in. They would hand you a plain box containing a mix of diamonds. They set the price. You were not allowed to negotiate. You were not allowed to inspect them and reject the bad ones. It was, take it or leave it. If you rejected the box, you were banned for life. You were cut off from the global supply. This iron grip allowed them to fix the price of diamonds globally for over a century. But the house of cards is falling. And the biggest proof is the resale test. If you buy a gold bar, you can sell it tomorrow for roughly the same price. It is a store of value. Try to sell a diamond ring. In 1982, The Atlantic published a famous article titled, "Have You Ever Tried to Sell a Diamond?" The journalist found that jewelers would often offer 30% of the original purchase price. Why? Because jewelers can buy wholesale. They don't want your used ring unless they can get it for dirt cheap. A diamond is not an investment. It is a depreciating retail asset, just like a sofa or a pair of shoes. Today, De Beers is terrified. Why? Because of science. We can now create diamonds in a lab using chemical vapor deposition. We take a slice of carbon seed, put it in a reactor, and mimic the conditions of the Earth. These are not fakes. They are not cubic zirconia. They are chemically, physically, and optically identical to mined diamonds. Even experts need special UV machines to tell them apart. The only difference? The lab diamond costs 80% less. And unlike mined diamonds, no one had to die in a conflict zone to get it out of the ground. So if you are planning to propose, here is the advice. Opt out of the matrix, buy a lab diamond, buy a sapphire. Or buy a vintage ring from a pawn shop. Take the $10,000 you saved and put it toward a house or a honeymoon or an index fund. Because the marketing executives at De Beers have enough money, they don't need yours. And speaking of marketing schemes designed to keep you spending, do you think you're beating the system with your credit card points? You aren't. The banks are winning. Watch this video right here to see how. Thanks for watching.